Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Adoptions from the Heart TV. I'm your host, Amanda Aliberti. Today we're going to be talking about disruptions from the perspective of the agency. I'd like to welcome Micaiah. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Can you share with our audience your role at Adoptions from the Heart and what exactly a disruption is?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Micaiah Odom. I'm an adoption social worker here in the Delaware office. And just to talk a little bit about disruptions, it's when an adoptive family is placed and after they sign placement paperwork and the birth parent changes their mind during the revocation period that they have.
When we talk about disruptions, oftentimes we look at the experience of the adoptive family as well as the experience of what a birth parent goes through in choosing to revoke their consent and take baby back. I was hoping you could share with our community the role that the agency, meaning the social worker, plays during a disruption. So can you talk a little bit about what exactly happens when a disruption occurs for you as the social worker?
Yes, absolutely. So depending on if you're the birth parent social worker or the adoptive parent social worker, in my instance, in the disruptions that I have experienced, I was the birth parent social worker. So in that case, typically the birth parent will reach out to the social worker, their social worker, and then that social worker would reach out to the adoptive family social worker saying that that birth parent has changed their mind and they would like to have their baby back.
So in the time that you experience a disruption here at the agency, put us in your shoes. It was a Sunday afternoon. You received this call from the birth parent. What did she say to you?
So she basically said that she was changing her mind and she wanted her baby back. There was a lot of emotions that went into it. It's never easy when a birth parent changes their mind after they have made placement and placed this baby with the family. And she really loved the family that she placed with. It was just in her heart that she wanted her child back.
So she just felt like this was too much. I feel like I made the wrong decision. And she expressed to you that she wanted her baby back.
Yes, absolutely. And she also had the support of her family as well, which I think really helped in that situation.
And then you had to reach out to the family / their social worker, and they had to bring baby back to you at this office on a Sunday evening.
Yes, it was a Sunday evening around 8 p.m. and I actually reached out to the family social worker who called the family and told them how everything was happening. I reached out to birth father. There was a birth father involved as well, let him know that birth mom had changed her mind. And so everyone basically just met here at the office. The adoptive family came in, dropped baby off, and left.
Well, and it's hard. I mean, I think as an agency, we always support a birth parent and what they're going through, right? Because
absolutely.
When you birth a child, I mean, that's your child. You have the right to decide what you want for that child. So we never want anyone to feel like if you do make that call that you've changed your mind, that you're going to be in trouble or you've done anything wrong. But I want you to talk a little bit of how you felt as the social worker, because it sounds like you had been counseling with these birth parents for a couple of months up till that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously it's very hard for all parties involved, the birth parent, the social worker, the adoptive family, of course. And like I said, it's never easy when a birth parent changes their mind. So we try our best to do everything we can to support that birth parent in the decision that they've made. And then it's also hard because then we're disrupting a nice family who has this baby and has probably already gotten attached. And even though we do our best to prepare them for disruptions and disappointments, that nobody is ever really prepared unless when and if it happens.
Sure. Well, and I think we always say as social workers, making that call to your family that the birth parent changed their mind is one of the most difficult parts of our job, because you could prepare that family all day, right? That this is a risk. This can happen. A revocation period is put in place for a reason so that that birth parent can thoroughly make their decision. But it's just hard and it stinks and nobody wants to do it.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I know that for me, when I make those calls and you hear an adoptive parent on the other line, hysterical crying, so much goes through your head of, I just completely destroyed their dream.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And I need my own counseling. I need to then call my coworker or my supervisor and get that support, because you feel like, what am I doing? This is hard stuff.
Yeah, we also have to prepare ourselves too. We take the time to prepare these families in case these happen, but we don't realize that it's hard on us too until it actually happens.
Yeah. And I really do think that most of our adoptive families come into the program understanding that this is a huge risk. And in my opinion, it's gotten better. Like over the years, I think our education has increased even more, that they're looking at this more like I'm babysitting this child until that birth parent really makes this decision. But there are instances where adoptive families, I think, turn their anger towards the agency or towards the social worker, and that can be really challenging. I always say, if the family turns to anger as opposed to sadness and disappointment, you can tell something's wrong.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's sad. You should be disappointed, but you should also understand what a biological parent goes through when they're choosing adoption. And when it's the other way and you're angry, to me, I wonder, do you really get it? Do you understand open adoption and the experience of the birth parent?
Yeah, and some families do get it and some don't, and it's understandable. It's hard, but we just wish that everybody could understand also the birth parent side of that as well, even though it's hard on them.
And it's a risk. I mean, it's something that all parties are aware of when we go into it. I think as social workers, we do our best to try to sense the red flags that might be going on at any point and prepare the other side as much as you can, right? Like maybe there's a risky birth father or family that might be stepping up and helping that biological parent to raise that child. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's just
absolutely
happens.
And in this instance, I counseled these birth parents for 2 months, and there was no indication that birth mom was going to change her mind. But when somebody's going to change their mind, they're going to do it, whether there's red flags or not.
Sure. Well, and I think it's important to highlight the support you gave those birth parents before, during, and after that disruption, because we always say adoptions from the heart is not here to just place children for adoption. We're here to provide options for our clients. Absolutely. And you put a lot of effort into helping those biological parents in choosing the plan they wanted. And then when they changed their mind and figured out a different plan, you supported them in that as well. And that is important work in what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. I agree. Birth parents definitely have the right to make their own choices. We're never the kind of social workers who try to pressure birth parents into making an adoption plan. And if that's something that they decide they want to do, or they decide they want to go a different route, we're there to support them regardless.
Well said. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much again to Micaiah for sharing her experience of what it's like to be the agency social worker in the midst of a disruption. Disruptions are never easy. It's the most difficult part to the adoption process. We do try our best as agency employees to make it as painless as possible, but it's just a risk that you take. We're happy that you were able to hear the perspective of the social worker in disruptions, and please continue to tune in to future topics.